welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Oren Aloni-Charis. I'm a physician and also the managing director at RedCrow. And I'm pleased today to have Richard Gray, the CEO of Brightday, to join us for a webinar. And we're going to learn a little bit more about the webinar today, and that's going to be really cool. So I think I wanted to talk a little bit about Brightday. Brightday is a really interesting company that is in the space of digital health innovation in the corporate wellness space. And they have digital tools that allow for more ergonomic time spent at the office. Back pain is a really big problem. It's a very big impact. It has a very big impact on people at work, and their software should help a lot of people with their posture and posture correction. So I think what we'll do is we'll first take a look at their video, and then Richard will come on and he'll walk us through the slide deck and make a case for the business, and then we'll ask some questions. I wanted to note that you'll see that you have the ability to send us some questions through texts on the Zoom platform, and we'd like to get to those at the end, so please feel free to send us questions. Terrific, thank you, and I appreciate everybody being here. And Richard, I will set up the video and then let you take it away after that.
I'm Richard Gray, CEO and co-founder of Brightday. Brightday has developed the first software to address posture and sedentary behavior in the workplace, helping employees sit better, stand better, and move more during their workday. 86% of the US population spends at least 7 hours a day sitting in front of a computer. This is a huge problem for them and for companies, costing them up to $200 billion a year. We've built the first ergonomic guidance software that uses the camera of the computer that helps users correct themselves in real time. It doesn't matter if you use sit-stand desks or work at home. Brightday goes with you wherever you go. Current solutions for posture and sedentary behavior are focused around ergonomic consultations, better desks, better seats, and of course wearables. None of these solutions bring about behavior change. Brightday is software. It is not a gadget. You can't lose it, and you don't need to charge it.
We use any webcam, even the one embedded in your laptop, to help you fix your posture. We don't save any video to the cloud. We don't record anything to the computer. And this is super powerful. Our breakthrough is we can use everyday off-the-shelf computers to do this very complicated thing of finding where you are in three-dimensional space. Once I've got my good initial posture, I'm going to get slowly sucked into my computer. You can see that Brightday notices it, goes dark green. If I don't notice that, it's going to escalate into an avatar. That avatar will move with me in real time. And what it's doing with users is it's training you to get back to that good position.
The goal of the whole software is to make you sit and feel better. That's why we onboarded the educational component and combine it with the tracking so that you're gaining awareness and knowledge at the same time. And that combination makes it so powerful. We created a whole library of videos so that it's fun to click around and explore what to do with your hands, with your arms, and there's always something new to learn.
Brightday has 3 distinct business channels. Our primary channel is business to business. Secondarily, we think Brightday could do very well direct to consumer. And finally, the professional market, in particular chiropractors and physical therapists. We spent 2018 testing with hundreds of users and improving the product. We're now embarking on our first paid pilot program with Airbnb. To date, we've raised $600,000 from friends, family, and angel investors. This next funding round with RedCrow will take us through this year and into first customers. And at that point, we can raise a much bigger venture round.
I joined Brightday as an advisor after I saw the first demo about 2 years ago. If I imagine Brightday in the years ahead, looking to the future, which is something we do a lot at Google, I can see that this is a technology that can fit into anybody's computer and should be in everybody's computer. And it can also become a platform for a greater set of wellness and health products.
We have built smart software for the ergonomics market. We think it's a huge market. We're also excited about the potential to expand out of that into other products for health and wellness and productivity during the workday. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you work. Everybody should have good posture and minimum sedentary behavior. This is just good wellness practice. This is what we want to bring to the world. Come and join us on the next phase of this journey.
Okay, great. Well, I love that video, Richard. Thank you for letting us share that with our audience. And I think it's time I'll let you take over and you'll share your slide deck with us.
Great. Thank you so much, Oren. And thank you all so much for joining us on the call. It's a real pleasure. Now I'm going to take over and hopefully you can now see our slide deck, the first page of it. Oren, you saying that okay?
Yes, it looks great.
Okay,
Thank you.
super. So, what I'd like to start off with is, starting right at 100,000 feet with Brightday, which is, why we started this company. We think there's a tremendous opportunity for wellness while you work. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of solutions out there that address a wellness issue, whether it be mental health, whether it be yoga studios, whether it be financial wellness, etc., that are offered into big companies. And those platforms largely require the user, the employee, to spend more of their working day outside of their desk environment, accessing those programs and learning those programs, etc. What we feel is that there's a tremendous opportunity at the desk. The moving desk that we know is now not just an assigned seating desk, but so many companies are going unassigned. So therefore, building wellness products that can go with them in those environments. And the product that we have spent the last 2.5 years building is ergonomics guidance software. So at its core, as Oren alluded to, what we're doing is we're using physical hardware that already exists. It's on people's computers, whether it be an inbuilt camera or an external camera, and utilizing that physical product with the latest software that we've developed to help people to track them and to help them understand their posture tendencies such that they can improve and achieve behavior change over a period of time through good education and repetition. So that's why we started Brightday. Like I said, as a core mission, it is about building out a next generation of smart software products. I think, when we looked at this, the notion of ergonomics and posture and sedentary behavior is really a Trojan horse into the desk space. And I believe that whomever can garner the trust of employees, the trust of computer users during the workday will have a tremendous opportunity to expand those products beyond just ergonomics, for example, into other areas, both through products that we build, and we have some ideas around those, and indeed third party. Sticking with our predominant theme, though, of posture and sedentary behavior, the data around the pain points is super clear. The simple fact is 86% of the US workforce spends at least 7 hours a day sitting at work. It is the evolution of office ergonomics. It's the evolution of the office as we've moved in the last 20, 30 years to a predominantly knowledge-based workforce. And this is what we've ended up with. And just as a small sidebar, I wonder whether any of you have heard about the Washington Post article of, I think it was earlier this week, pointed to the fact that there's been some growth of bone at the back of the skull that is as a result of sitting in or craning the neck with forward head posture, as it's called. It's something you would have seen in the video when you see somebody go from a normal good posture to a leaning in posture towards the screen. It increases the weight of the skull on the top of the back. And the suggestion being that there is some sort of a actual skeletal evolution or devolution, if you like, that has occurred as a result of that increased pressure over time. So these pain points from a financial perspective for companies are just huge. So we know when we go inside of big companies, and I can't mention names on the call, but I can tell you that what we're seeing is that of a company of around 5,000 employees, we're seeing around 1,000 of those employees seeking ergonomic evaluations in a single year. And that's with an average age of around 28 years old of the workforce. So this is not an old person's problem. This is a problem that's happening younger and younger in the workforces, and it needs to be addressed in different ways. So our solution at its core is about software. It really is the first software-only product that can monitor, improve posture, and encourage healthy movement. using the camera of the computer. And we call this ergonomics guidance software for short. I love that. I think it encapsulates exactly what we do in simple form. So let's talk a little bit about what's out there right now. If you go inside of any large company, you will normally find ergonomics lives inside of health and safety. There are other companies that have it inside of facilities and certain companies that have it inside of HR benefits. So on the one hand, a big company will rely mostly on ergonomic consultants that will deliver evaluations to employees as and when they need them. So it's very much after the fact, number one, and those evaluations generally range in cost per evaluation between $250 and $400. I think that's a very important point to remember, because when we come back to how we can price Brightday, I think we can really see the tremendous advantages to software over consultations and the cost of those. So predominantly it's a consultant-led solution at this point in time for big companies. For smaller companies, there really isn't anything at all. And then, of course, we rely upon office furniture, stand-up desks. That's very much the way. The sit-stand desks are obviously the latest craze the last 2 or 3 years. Tremendously positive development, we believe, that again brings up a whole new set of problems for posture, because people can stand just as poorly as they sit poorly. Wearables, we've seen a number of those in the market recently. They tend not to be, they haven't really taken on. I think they're very difficult to, you have to stick them to your back, you have to charge them. They kind of look a bit funky, they have to be on bare skin, etc. So we've not seen those do terribly well, even though they've got a lot better than they used to be. So really our solution, our Brightday solution, is novel. It digs into a number of different areas from a technology perspective. We are first and foremost computer vision software. The software is built in a program called C++, and we utilize a number of other different facets, augmented reality being one, because we use avatars, etc., to alert our users when they're in poor postures. So there's combinations of different technologies, and I believe that one of the great futures for Brightday is to move our platform towards a machine learning platform, which will allow us to build up a library that can be individualized, individual by individual, but also by job function. So that if you can imagine having your own posture library for the different things that you do during your workday, that is all within the grasp of machine learning, and is very much a phase 2 project for us at Brightday. You'll see that we filed some IP, and we went non-provisional in July 2017. One of the things I want to do the other side of RedCrow funding is to increase our moat around IP. I think we filed some good IP, and we now want to add to that with some of the functionality that we've built in since then. I think one of the things that really got me very excited about posture was the notion that posture isn't just about musculoskeletal disorders anymore. One of the key data points that I came across fairly early on when I was looking to build Brightday was Amy Cuddy's TED Talk in 2012, which was all about posture, and is now, I believe, just gone through 50 million views on TED. And is the second most watched TED Talk of all time. It's about posture. And the reason that people got excited about it is that it shows research that has been done relatively recently. It shows that posture shapes the way we feel, the way that we think, the way that we act. That it's not just about musculoskeletal. And so for us, we felt that this is not just an ergonomics issue, this is a productivity issue as well. And thus encouraged us, excuse me, I just went ahead a little bit there, encouraged us with regards to the messaging around this, because if this was just a health and safety play, yes, I think it's interesting. I think this is a productivity play. I think it's an education play. All of these things are going to be important aspects in how we utilize software to deliver these messages and deliver these benefits, and then this ultimately behavior change to the end user. So let's talk a little bit about validation. this has been, for us as a software business, a lot of people will say, well, just build it and throw it out there. This is the way to evolve your product. It's tough to do that with something as complex as computer vision software, number one. Number two is you really can't throw out average software to track and monitor posture. It's got to be very robust. It's got to be able to do all sorts of different things. So for us, it's been a big, one of the big issues has been solving some of our key previous constraints. So for example, many of you will use a monitor, just as I am right now, and yet I have a laptop underneath it. So we need to be able to utilize the camera of the laptop in an arc around the individual. That requires us to be able to track and monitor posture in from all sorts of different angles with the same simple physical camera of the computer. That's something that we've solved, and I think is a unique piece of our IP, and was an absolute requirement for us to be able to go inside of a big company and be relevant to all of the employees using computers, given that so many people have multi-screen, so many people have their computers to the side and use a front monitor. So these are all things that we had to solve along the way. And we've been in discussions with Airbnb for about a year now. And we're now launching our first paid pilot with them. We're super excited about it. And the timing could not be better, because what I can reveal to you all is that Airbnb are moving to unassigned seating worldwide, effective immediately. Now that means that is a big ergonomics headache for health and safety at Airbnb, because they no longer can have people set up ergonomically correctly in their one place of sitting where they go every day, because they no longer have that. So this move to unassigned starts in San Francisco in 2 weeks' time and rolls out worldwide thereafter. It's a big move by the CEO because he believes that will encourage more collaboration. It's a collaboration play for them, but it's going to have an ergonomics kicker. And what we're very happy about is that Brightday, as we go into this paid pilot, is going to be the tool, one of the tools that is offered to all the employees to help them navigate that change. I think it's super exciting. Market size, I don't want to necessarily dwell too much on this, because clearly it's a big market. I mean, every large company has to address office ergonomics issues. I think one of the really exciting things about this is what we believe with Brightday is that Brightday can be packaged for medium-sized businesses and smaller businesses, all the way down to work at home, because it's software and because we can deliver it incredibly easily with a simple download onto somebody's computer. So for us, this is, I like to call it the democratization of ergonomics, because the companies that are offering ergonomic solutions right now just simply can't go below around 3,000 to 4,000 employees. There's just not the economies of scale for them to do that. And so I think there's a tremendous opportunity for us to, if you like, create specific packages for particular size of businesses around the Brightday offering. So I think it's super exciting. Our go-to-market, well, we've decided, our Airbnb pilot is absolutely our segue into the market. The data that we can draw off of that, we believe will allow us to then move into additional paid customers, some of whom we've already presented to, and there are a number of other opportunities for us to be able to fairly quickly move out through our own networks to kind of achieve a core group of initial customers, which is what we want to do by the end of this year, and to make sure that we're on a good revenue track, around $65,000 a month, a decent number of users, and that we can use that as our springboard to significant month-on-month growth, which is what we want to do as we move into our next venture round, which we anticipate will be around first quarter of next year. So it's all about paid pilot with Airbnb, impact assessment data that we can then utilize to prove out why Brightday is not just an educative tool, but is also a tool that is contributing to productivity, and also something that employees are loving to get from their companies. So contributing to the CSR component. The team, I'm just so proud of my team. I mean, I've got two co-founders that are just fabulous, both very different backgrounds. Peter is German, is just a total product design geek. Jim is our coder extraordinaire, Stanford computer science, has been all the way from startup to IPO with power reviews, has really dug in heavily on the computer vision side of Brightday, and has been able to coalesce all of the talent that we've needed to bring in to build Brightday out. So super lucky to have them. And we've, along the way, we've built out a really nice group of advisors. Leo Spiegel's our chairman and board member. And Leo was head of M&A and business development at Pivotal until they IPO'd this summer. And then he exited. I'm just picking out a few names here. Robbie Peters. People Tech Partners is a collaboration of around 80 HR heads of some of the biggest companies and tech companies in the world that are open to looking and seeing and demoing and piloting and becoming first customers to the latest solutions. So that's why we have, as an advisor, we see very much that kicking in the other side of Airbnb. Claude Zellweger has been incredibly helpful to us. He is director of design at Google and has been somebody we can go to with design and kind of get ideas from him. So that's been incredibly useful. And Jean Couch, that all the videos that we've built that sit inside the app are based upon her teaching and her learning. She's economics advisor to Kaiser Permanente, Stanford, Google. She's taught many of the ergonomists that are in the market today. She's based in Palo Alto and an absolute tour de force. So we're super lucky to have her. So we'll be using Jean. For example, we're going to be going into Airbnb and doing live sessions with staff to teach them about posture. We want to kind of get in and meet them as well as just be a software solution. So Jean will be heading that up. I do think that one of the exciting, I mentioned the democratization of ergonomics, and I do believe that is a tremendous opportunity for Brightday. We're primarily focused in B2B, but we absolutely do see opportunity in direct to consumer and professionals. So on the direct to consumer side, many of you, I'm sure, will be familiar with the meditation space and how that has evolved in the last 5 to 6 years. We believe that there's a headspace for the body, if you like, version that is Brightday. And we think that partnering with some of those brands could be very interesting. And some of the leading wellness figures, if you like, we're talking to some of those. Given that we are going to be in a position to deliver Brightday as for sale on our website within be the third week in July, that's another opportunity for us to collect revenue. I want to treat it as a soft launch, to be frank with everybody. I feel like our major effort must be on Airbnb and on the B2B side, but there's absolutely no harm at all in a soft launch on D2C, given that it's very easy for us to deliver and service that. On the professional side, and I think this is where I'm super interested in the RedCrow community, we have had feedback from chiropractors and physical therapists about how Brightday could be utilized for patients such that people with back pain can utilize Brightday in their day-to-day lives. The data from them using it can then be collated and returned to the physical therapist or chiropractor for them to monitor. And it provides a touch point for them. It provides a means by which they can do more than just educate in the moment of seeing a patient in the office. And I believe, and something that we are looking at, there's some CPT codes that are being developed that have now been approved around telehealth that may, be applicable to Brightday from the perspective of looking at data on a regular basis and being reimbursed for that. So I think there's a lot of excitement across those sectors. How does Brightday work? Hopefully you've got a good idea of that from the video. Again, this is downloadable software onto the computer. Now, I want to just dig in there a little bit, because what does that really mean? That means that we do not need the internet to operate Brightday, critically. So that means that there's two reasons why that's a positive. Number one, from a security perspective, we're not attached to the internet. And number two is it means we can be used in any, by a user at any circumstance when they're not connected to the internet. It's a while you work software, so we're not asking for what I think is the most difficult commodity for anybody who's selling any product, which is time. We're not asking for anybody's time. So this is interactive, it's while you work. And then at the end of it, you get recommendations, you get an idea of what your posture score is, you'll get encouragement, you'll be able to work on your tendencies and be given practical solutions as to how to address those. So I think, as an all-round solution, it is completely unique. Let's just take a quick dive into feedback that we've had. So this is off a bunch of tests that we did at the beginning of this year, tail end of last year. And what we really looked at was we wanted to look at productivity, we wanted to look at education and corporate social responsibility. The one I want to spend more time on in the upcoming periods is productivity. Measuring productivity is complex, it's difficult to do, it's difficult to just single out Brightday. But what we were asking people on this productivity side was how did they feel about their productivity in the 1 to 2 hour period after they used Brightday. And we got obviously very positive scores. The educative aspect I think is really important because again, a lot of people just simply don't know how to sit well. They simply don't have that education and that knowledge. And so Brightday provides that for them in these bite-sized videos that form part of our software package in our library. And then the NPS scores that we did on when we were doing these tests, the Net Promoter scores, we were very encouraged by the overall number. We were also encouraged by the fact that it increased as we went through. And these were programs that we did over a 10, 20-day period, etc. So again, this is a starter for 10, if you like. The data that we'll be getting out of the Airbnb paid pilot will be a lot broader than this and a lot deeper and a lot more participants. So that obviously will be a key calling card for us as we move out of that pilot and through it. Value proposition. I think I've touched on most of these. I think the thing I haven't touched on is privacy. So I want to delve in there a bit because a lot of people are concerned about the use of the camera. The simple fact is that this is what was a key requirement for us when we started to look at Brightday and build it, was that we needed to know that we could build this and without recording the individual. So we do not record the individual. We take no video at all, even onto the computer. So everything is processed in real time. So from a privacy perspective, it's really ironclad. We just don't take anything and everybody is anonymized. And any data that we do pull, which is data around usage and data around tendencies, is done on the basis of an anonymized number and then collated and presented to HR departments. So I think from what we've experienced so far is that that we're the right side of that. We've got everything that we need to have from a technical perspective to give people surety that that we're not recording them. Number one, and number two is that I think we're the right side of a trend. The fact is that we're all sitting here on a webinar and we're all looking at you can see me and Oren, and so we're getting more and more used to using this interface. And of course, as we move to more unassigned and we move to more work at home, this is a vital tool. The camera is a vital tool of our daily lives. So I think I think we're early on it. I don't think that it doesn't mean we haven't got to work hard to be very clear to people what we don't do, which is we don't record you and we don't record anything that's on your computer and we don't record or video any voice, etc. So we just need to be very clear about that. Our future plans, I'm very excited about where we can go. I'm very focused on where we are going in the immediate future. But just to give you all a little snapshot into our thinking, is that we do think that there's a number of things that we can do with the camera that have not been done around hydration and the monitoring of hydration. We think there's also some stress monitoring that would be really interesting to do through the camera of the computer. There are also there's a lot of potential to splice into our platform other third-party licensing products that we think could provide a really nice platform overall. So I do think that's a potential for us down the line. It's not where we're at this year, where we must be hyper-focused on posture and movement. But like I said, I think it's an exciting direction to go in. And whomever wins the trust of employees during the workday, and we intend that to be Brightday, will be in a unique position to be able to collaborate with others and collate those products for the Brightday platform and for end users. The economics. So for us, given where we are at right now, it is all about getting into first revenue, cementing the company with a strong group of first customers, and hitting our growth rates. We are going to use, I've alluded to, we've got a pretty deep bench on our advisory side. We think there's a number of other opportunities for us to pick up revenue. We're speaking to around 10 large companies right now that we'll be able to show the Airbnb data to as a springboard to moving into those companies, et cetera. So I think that for us, the sales process of this in the first phase is quite high touch. I think in the second phase, we're looking at a lot of the wellness platforms and the aggregators in the market. So, for example, Sequoia, for example, Castlight, for example, Virgin Pulse, for example, Limeade, and then some of the much bigger providers like Workday, et cetera, where we could participate is via API in their own go-to-markets. You'll see the price that we're, the basic price that we're using is $3 per user per month. We think we've priced in our modeling for that to drop to more like $2 with significant adoption inside of a company. I believe that that this pricing is very doable. It makes us extremely profitable. This is, if we can cement ourselves in this area of being, sub $50 for a user to have for a year, and it's providing them with posture and sedentary behavior stability, then I think that's going to work out very well for us. And our early prognosis with Airbnb and others is that does indeed look good for us. Projected fundraising economics. We've raised $500,000 on this convertible note last year through one significant angel investor. We want to add another $1 million. For us, it's really about rolling through Airbnb and into the first customers. I'd like us to be in a position to go for a more significant venture round in the first quarter of next year. And if I can, Aaron, I just want to dig in a bit there on some more of the numbers. So we have a $5 million cap on the note. That's the same cap that our investor invested this $500,000 in. And we believe that is, if we can deliver what we think we can deliver to plan, and produce our first revenue and start to see growth in our first set of customers, and we go into a venture round at that point, then based upon all of the metrics, companies that are being funded in our sector, whether you look at it from a digital health perspective and software businesses, the valuations at Series A would be around the 20 to 30 mark. So we'd like to think that people investing in us now would see that sort of 4x type return into that round. And obviously we would give opportunity for there to be follow-on. So I want to stop there, Oren. That's a lot of information in a short period of time. And do you want to take it back from me and take some questions?
Yeah, let's see.
Did I miss anything out, firstly? Is there anything that you feel, Oren, that I should answer?
There are a few, no, I think that was really great, Richard. 1 second, we're gonna change that. So now we're back. Yeah, a few questions. First one, Richard, can you talk a little bit about the IP, I mean, it looks really cool, and we really appreciate that, that discussion of what Brightday is doing. I think one of the things that I've heard from potential investors is, how do you protect this? How is it something that somebody else can't come in and do? Tell us a little bit about what's special.
Yeah. Let me go into that. So Brightday is built in a computer vision language called C++. C++ is built around libraries that exist out there that you can access. So they're commonly available to anybody. Now, what is incredibly difficult to do is to take various pieces of different libraries and splice them together to achieve certain outcomes. That's the first thing that Brightday did. And we did that in order to solve a number of issues. Number one was lighting. And number two was how to track and monitor somebody without learning background. So previously you had to learn a background before you could track somebody in front of it. Remember that we're using a very simple physical camera. So there is IP that we have filed that addresses those issues. The last piece that I think is actually probably the best piece is this notion of being able to adjust Brightday for all different eventualities of position of the camera in front of the individual and still be as effective. That IP is really novel. And I believe that anybody that wants to come into the space is going to need to come to us for that piece, because we've got it, we created it. So that is novel. That's nothing to do with C++. It's to do with a different set of algorithms that we've built. So but again, Oren, what I do want to say on top of that is I do think it's important to have the IP moat. I do want to spend more time and more money on it. And we've got a good anchor. But the best way to create the biggest moat is to get out in the marketplace ASAP. And number one. And number two is to move the Brightday platform to a machine learning platform such that we have the biggest library. And whoever has the biggest library, pretty much that nowadays is regarded as a better and bigger, more important moat than any IP you can file.
Right.
So I think it's important for us is to get scale quickly.
Right.
And that means having, number one, having proof of concept through these pilots. Number two, having the team and the money to be able to move quickly. And finally is to understand the dynamics of the marketplace such that we can cut and splice ourselves according to the target market, whether it be large company, medium-sized business, small business, etc., such that we can get this out as quickly as possible. We have incredible margins because what most software companies have great margins. The reason that they don't have close to 100% margins is because they have storage costs. We don't have storage costs because we use the person's computer to process.
Right.
It's super clever. I mean, it's my CTO, not me. So, it's so clever to use what's already there and get more out of it as a result, our margins are just, frankly, spectacular. And that means that we should be able to move, once we move through these initial phases, much quicker.
So Richard, you're going into pilot this month with Airbnb, and you're raising money on a note. How much of the note is going towards development costs for your primary product? Or is that basically done and this is now towards future planning and more importantly, sales and marketing? Yeah, it's a little bit of both. One of the things that we do want to do is we want to move Brightday to a platform called Electron. Electron is the platform that Slack is built on. So probably everybody on the call is familiar with Slack. It's built on the Electron platform. What we love about Electron is it means that we can make changes to the software in real time without having to send constant downloads. Hey, Oren, new download here, and nobody does it. Type thing. We'll be able to do it in real time. So that's its primary advantage. It's a wonderful platform. So that's one piece of expense for us. But outside of that,
it is about putting in place the first tent poles for sales and marketing, because what we've done, which is somewhat unusual, is we've done a huge amount of software development. So our product is ready to ship. It can be downloaded within 25 seconds, and it can be used by millions, provided you've got a computer, whether it be Mac or Microsoft 2013 or younger, you can use Brightday. So that's the work that's done. That's front-ended. That's what we've spent all of our time and money on today. So we do get to spend money now on, do you want to spend a bit of money on IP and on that moat? I mentioned that. Do you want to move the platform to Electron? I do want to build out my team a little bit. We need another engineer, but the primary effort will be on go-to-market.
Okay, great. I have one question from the audience that says, why invest now instead of waiting for the pilot to be completed and sort of have that de-risking impact?
Yeah. I think that once the pilot's completed and we're moving into first revenue, number one, the valuation of the business will change fairly substantially. And number two is that, what I can say, is that we have a line of VC investors that want to come in at that point. So will we be open to angel at that point? I think it's unlikely. Not least of all because it just, the VCs, I'm not saying it's a party round, but we'll want to go with one or two or three VCs that can provide us with the key requirements we're going to have, which is help with hiring and great networks for us to push out to hit our revenue numbers to 2020 and on. So those are going to be for us the key requirements. So I think that this is, honestly, it's an angel opportunity right now. We're pre-seed, but I think, our guns are loaded, and and it is high risk. I don't think there's one can pretend otherwise. But I think we've de-risked it from the technology perspective. And I think the fact that we've got through IT security review of one of the most foremost companies in the Bay Area is no mean feat. To get a computer vision software technology through IT privacy and security review at Airbnb has surprised quite a number of VCs. Like, how the hell did you do that? Well, it took a long time, and we had to change code, and we had to do all sorts of things, but we did it, and it stands us in very good stead for the next set coming. So, yeah, we're high risk, but I think now's the moment to, I think now's the opportune moment for Angel.
Richard, we're running short on time. I wanted to remind all of our viewers to come see your profile at RedCrow. A lot of corporate documents there, information around the raise, so you can dig in a lot deeper, and of course leave us with information. And you see Richard's contact information on the screen as well. I did have one last question. Maybe we can exit the interview with a conversation, a brief one, about the exit strategy of Brightday.
Yeah, I have it in my vision, if you like, that this is an extremely IPO-able company. I believe that ergonomics has been left alone for a long period of time. I think Brightday can democratize ergonomics and deliver it all the way down to the home. And I think that opportunity and building that business out in the next 4 to 5 years is what I would like to do as the co-founder and CEO. And I think that it is the type of business with the type of margins when we look at what's happening in SaaS. And although we're not predominantly a SaaS company, everything else that we do is SaaS oriented, including our subscription-based revenue, is that I think it lends itself to that. Now, I also believe that there are a number of different players in digital health that might find this an interesting acquisition. It's not my base case, to be frank with you. But when you look at what's happening in wellness and the delivery of health solutions, whether you look at the big platform players, whether you look at the big product players, I think that there is, then you look at what the insurance companies are doing now, which is they're all partnering with the physical products, digital health players. That's all going on. Well, what about the software? Who's going to be the software players? Well, we're going to be one of them, I hope.
So I think that there's opportunity, and then you look at EHS, environmental health and safety. There's 5 or 6 very significant large companies quoted that could easily bolt on Brightday as an acquisition. So it's not, like I said, it's not my base case. My notion is to take this all the way through. I see all of the people that I just mentioned as potential partnerships,
Right.
As opposed to acquisition. But there's a lot of different ways this could go.
Okay, well, let me end it there. We've gone a little bit over, but I appreciate everybody hung on, and we'll have this up on the web at some point for other people to view, and you can share it with your friends and the rest of our audience. Richard Gray, CEO of Brightday, thank you for joining us today. And again, please go to our website, redcrow.com, and check out their profile. Thank you.
Thank you so much.